Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today as we unravel one of the most fascinating mysteries in the world of weather. Today is August 15th, 2025, and we're diving into a powerful force shaping our weather, La Niña. This isn't just a buzzword you hear on the news, it's a real phenomenon with the power to influence everything from our daily forecasts to the long-term climate outlook for entire regions. The name La Niña, which means the little girl in Spanish, might sound gentle, but don't be fooled. This phenomenon is more than just an oceanic curiosity. It's a key player in California's climate, and its effects can be felt far beyond our state's borders. Scientists and meteorologists have been studying La Niña for decades, trying to understand how it works and what it means for people living along the Pacific Rim and across the globe. The Pacific Ocean acts as a massive engine for global weather, constantly churning and shifting. Its currents and temperatures set the stage for weather patterns that can stretch from Asia to the Americas, and even influence the climate in Europe and Africa. Even small temperature shifts in the Pacific can ripple across continents, changing wind patterns, rainfall, and even the severity of storms. It's like tossing a pebble into a pond. The effects spread out in all directions, sometimes in surprising ways. Right now, scientists are seeing early signs that La Niña may return this winter, and the National Weather Service has already issued a La Niña watch. This means they're keeping a close eye on ocean temperatures and atmospheric conditions, looking for clues about what's coming next. Why does this matter? Because La Niña can dramatically change how much rain and snow we get, and even how warm or cool our days will be. For California, this could mean a shift in the timing and intensity of our wet and dry seasons, which affects everything from agriculture to outdoor recreation. California's water supply is especially sensitive to these climate patterns. Our reservoirs, rivers, and snowpack depend on the right balance of rain and snowfall, and even a small change can have big consequences for farmers, cities, and wildlife. A wet winter fills our reservoirs and helps prevent drought, while a dry one can mean water shortages and a higher risk of wildfires. These swings between wet and dry years are part of what makes California's climate so unique and so challenging to predict. When we hear La Niña, it's a signal that our usual weather playbook might be about to change. Meteorologists start looking for unusual patterns, and communities begin to prepare for whatever surprises the season might bring. Over the next few scenes, we'll break down what La Niña is, how it affects the US and California, and what's unique about this year's forecast. We'll look at the science, the history, and the real-world impacts you might notice in your own backyard. We'll also explore a twist called La Niña Modoki, a variation that shifts the center of action to the Central Pacific. This can lead to different rainfall and temperature patterns than a classic La Niña, and it's something scientists are watching closely this year. Understanding these patterns helps us prepare, whether it's for rain boots, ski trips, or simply knowing when to expect a break in the weather. Being informed means we can make better choices for our families, our communities, and our environment. So let's get started and uncover how this little girl could shape our winter. Ready? Let's dive in and see what the Pacific's chilly secret has in store for us this year. So what is La Niña? You might have heard the term on the news or in weather reports, but what does it really mean? And why does it matter for our daily lives? Imagine the equatorial Pacific as a giant bathtub, stretching thousands of miles from the coast of South America, all the way to Asia and Australia. This vast expanse of water is a key player in shaping the world's weather. Under normal conditions, the sun heats the ocean's surface, and steady trade winds blow from east to west, gently pushing warm water toward Asia and Australia. But during La Niña, these trade winds become much stronger than usual, forcefully shoving even more warm water westward and piling it up near the western Pacific. As this happens, the warm surface water is pulled away from the coast of South America. In its place, cold, nutrient-rich water from the deep ocean rises up, a process called upwelling. This upwelling not only cools the ocean surface but also supports thriving fisheries along the coast. The result? A broad stretch of cooler-than-average water now dominates the central and eastern Pacific. This cooling can be seen from space, as satellites detect a long blue swath of chilly water stretching thousands of miles. This cool tongue of water is the signature of La Niña. But it's not just a local event, it disrupts global wind and rain patterns, changing the way weather systems move around the planet. The ENSO cycle, which stands for El Niño Southern Oscillation, swings between three phases: La Niña, cool; El Niño, warm; and neutral. Each phase has its own unique set of global impacts, influencing everything from droughts and floods to hurricane seasons and even wildfire risks. Scientists keep a close eye on these changes using satellites, ocean buoys, and advanced computer models. Right now, data shows we're shifting from a neutral phase toward La Niña, which means big changes could be on the horizon for weather patterns worldwide. It's important to remember that La Niña isn't a single storm or a quick event. It's a months-long condition that gradually sets the stage for seasonal weather shifts, sometimes lasting for a year or more. One of the biggest effects of La Niña is how it shifts the jet stream, a high-altitude river of fast-moving air that steers storms and weather systems across continents. When the jet stream moves, so do the patterns of rain, snow, and temperature. By altering the jet stream's path, La Niña can redraw the weather map, making some regions wetter and colder than usual, while others become warmer and drier. These changes can affect agriculture, water supplies, and even the risk of natural disasters. That's why meteorologists and climate scientists pay such close attention to La Niña. Understanding its patterns helps them predict and prepare for the impacts it may bring. So, let's take a closer look at how La Niña plays out across the United States, and what it could mean for your local weather in the coming months. When La Niña arrives, it doesn't just bring a single change, it reshapes weather patterns across all of North America, setting off a chain reaction that can last for months. This powerful climate phenomenon is driven by cooler than average sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean, which in turn disrupts the normal flow of the atmosphere above. One of the most significant impacts is the shifting of the polar jet stream, a fast-moving river of air high above the continent that steers storms and weather systems. Typically, during La Niña, the jet stream bends northward over the Pacific Ocean, arching above the Pacific Northwest and Alaska, bringing more moisture and energy to those regions. Then, as it moves east, the jet stream dips sharply south over the central and eastern United States, guiding storms along a new, more southerly path, and changing where rain and snow fall. The northern U.S., from the lush forests of the Pacific Northwest to the snowbelt around the Great Lakes, often experiences colder, wetter winters than usual, with frequent rainstorms and heavy mountain snow piling up in the Cascades and Rockies, sometimes leading to record snowpacks. Ski resorts thrive with fresh powder, and water managers often breathe a sigh of relief as reservoirs fill, knowing that this snowmelt will be crucial for the coming summer. Meanwhile, the southern U.S., including Southern California, Texas, and the Gulf Coast, usually faces the opposite: warmer, drier conditions with less rainfall and a higher risk of drought, which can stress crops, water supplies, and even increase wildfire danger. This dramatic north-south split is the classic La Niña pattern, shaping everything from winter recreation to agriculture and water management. But it's important to remember that every La Niña event is unique, with its own quirks and surprises. The strength of La Niña, whether it's weak, moderate, or strong, can make a big difference in how these patterns play out. Forecasting the exact impacts is always a challenge, and no two La Niñas are exactly alike, keeping meteorologists on their toes each winter. Now, let's zoom in on California's unique response to La Niña and see how this global phenomenon shapes the Golden State's weather. In California, La Niña draws a line through the state. North and south experience very different winters. Northern California near the storm track often gets cooler, wetter weather and more snow in the Sierra Nevada. This benefits reservoirs and snowpack, crucial for our water supply. Southern California, however, is usually left dry and warm, increasing drought and fire risk. This split highlights California's climate complexity and sensitivity to ocean patterns. But recent years have shown that La Niña doesn't always follow the script. Other climate factors can override the classic pattern, making each winter a new story. This year, there's an intriguing twist in the forecast. This winter, forecasters are watching for a special type of La Niña Modoki. Modoki means similar but different. Instead of cold water near South America, the coolest patch is farther west in the central Pacific. This subtle shift can dramatically change the jet stream and weather patterns. A La Niña Modoki can send more storms toward the west coast, including central and southern California. That means the usual dry south-wet north split might not apply. Scientists are closely monitoring this developing Modoki event, which could bring surprises for our water supply. With several La Niñas in recent years, each one adds to our understanding. So what could this mean for California's rain? The big question, how much rain will California get this winter? A La Niña Modoki could mean a wetter scenario for the whole state, not just the north. With the coldest water in the central Pacific, the usual high-pressure block off the coast may weaken, letting the jet stream steer storms into California. This could bring above-average rainfall from the Oregon border to San Diego, a welcome change after years of drought. More rain means fuller reservoirs, healthier snowpack, and less severe fire seasons. But forecasts aren't guarantees. Too much rain can also cause flooding and landslides. The key is to stay alert as the season unfolds and be ready for both benefits and challenges. Rain isn't the only thing to watch, temperatures and snow matter too. La Niña often brings cooler temperatures, especially if the jet stream dips south. Cooler air means more snow in the mountains, which is great for our water supply and ski resorts. The Sierra Nevada snowpack acts as California's largest reservoir, slowly releasing water through spring and summer. A cool, snowy winter is ideal for drought protection and recreation. But colder weather also means higher heating bills and risks for vulnerable populations and crops. The Modoki pattern could boost both rain and snow, but the exact outcome depends on each storm. Overall, expect a chillier, snowier season than average. But there's one more wild card: atmospheric rivers. Atmospheric rivers are massive bands of moisture that can unleash huge amounts of rain and snow in a short time. They're the wild cards of California's winter, sometimes delivering a season's worth of water in just a few storms. Even in La Niña years, a few strong atmospheric rivers can override the expected dry pattern, as we saw in 2022-2023. These events are hard to predict far in advance, but they can make the difference between drought and flood. That's why seasonal forecasts always come with uncertainty. La Niña sets the stage, but atmospheric rivers deliver the drama. This winter's outcome will depend on how many of these powerful storms hit California. So, how do we prepare for all this uncertainty? 9. As of August 15, 2025, La Niña is likely returning. But this year's Modoki twist could bring more rain and cooler weather statewide. It's a cautiously optimistic outlook for our water supply and snowpack, but uncertainty remains. Atmospheric rivers and the strength of La Niña itself add to the unpredictability. Science gives us a glimpse of what's ahead, but nature always has surprises. The best strategy? Stay informed and prepared. Follow updates from NOAA and the National Weather Service as the season approaches. Their next major update is September 11th, so keep an eye out. Whether it's planning for rain, conserving water, or bracing for storms, being ready is key. Thanks for joining me to explore the science behind our winter weather. Stay safe, stay curious, and let's see what this winter brings.